Yeah, I think you're good.
So we'll go ahead and get.
I don't hear. Yeah, I think you're good.
Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome and thanks for joining us today for our new knowledge session. This is our 9th series of professional development workshops to support business owners, nonprofits, and citizens in not only Washington County, but around the Commonwealth. My name is Billy Roberts with Virginia Community Capital. And if you're not familiar with us, we are a community development financial institution providing lending, investing, and community innovation services. We are happy to partner with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and the town of Abingdon to present this business and organization skill development. This program was started in 2014 to support the Washington County Business Challenge competitors and has become one of the oldest running business training programs in Virginia. Today's session will be recorded for training and educational purposes. Before we get started, I wanted to note that in order to keep the webinar flowing and stay within our 1-hour goal, we have muted everyone. However, if you, we do want to hear from you. So if you have any questions, please post your questions in the Q&A section or in the chat. We will address the questions at the end of the presentation. Now I'd like to welcome Lauren DiSimone. I'm sorry if I did not pronounce that correctly, Lauren. She's our food system financing advisor at Virginia Community Capital, and she will be leading this session. Lauren is going to speak with us today about how to access capital through the Virginia Fresh Food Loan Fund to build your business and a healthy community. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Billy. And I haven't met, is it Netta and Kathy and Bridget officially? I'm with BCC, obviously, but I just wanted to say hello. And to those of you who have joined us, I work at BCC, the Community Innovations team. And that is a forward-facing group of folks who are excellent at what they do, and they have specialty areas of knowledge, and mine happens to be food system financing. So I will share my screen in just a moment to do a presentation. Can you all see my screen? If you can see my screen in the slideshow format.
I can.
You can see my screen in the slideshow format.
Yep.
Okay.
I can see it.
And we're having a bit of some weird audio stuff. So everyone's going to be muted as I talk, and then I'll mute so that others can talk, and hopefully we don't have any back and forth echoing. But if at any point you can't hear or see me, just raise a hand or shout or holler. And we will make sure that we can figure it out for you. So I'm going to skip over, in the interest of time, all of the slides about VCC as a company. Let's see here, I'm trying to advance. Can I get a thumbs up from someone that you see the advancing slides, or a chat that you're good? I can't really see much on the, yeah, okay, thank you. So I will just pause for a moment on this VCC social impact slide, because this is why we're all here, is to deliver the impact. VCC, just briefly, is a CDFI, which means we're a community development financial institution. And we have focus areas in which we provide technical assistance and funding services, or products, I should say. And of our focus areas, we primarily work within healthy food financing, or healthy food access, increasing it in communities across Virginia, affordable housing, healthcare, clean energy, and just general small business development. And like I said, my focus is on the food system financing program, both in providing financial products such as financing, loans, et cetera, and then also the technical assistance that is required to support businesses and then the greater community. See here. So VCC's food program is officially called the Virginia Fresh Food Loan Fund. And that means that we do have a fund of money as of, I think, 2013, which started off as a $10 million revolving loan fund, which is a pot of money that we can use with regard to lending dollars to finance projects, but then also provide technical assistance. And that can be in the form of all the knowledge I have and the partners I know about, and connecting and sharing knowledge between ourselves here at VCC and our partners. But it also can look like some very small grants that we are but we're able to share with a business or an organization to a third party for that third party to help.
Hi, Lauren. Yeah, I just wanted to give your attention to Walter. He said he can only see the title slide.
Well, this is a title slide for Fresh Food Loan Fund. Is that not what you see?
Walter, do you want to speak?
There should be an image now.
I would say just keep going until he.
There should be an image now of a woman. Okay. I will continue, and just again, stop me if we continue to not be able to follow the slides, or if anything else comes up. So the Fresh Food Loan Fund, like I said, provides our financial products and our technical assistance, but all of that is to align with our mission of increasing access to healthy food in low to moderate income communities across the state by providing those technical and financial resources, most importantly, that make access to capital and knowledge more equitable. So we want to make sure that we're removing barriers and lowering barriers, removing obstacles that have before perhaps hindered businesses or communities from accessing the resources they need to increase healthy food access in their community. Move to the next slide here. Like I mentioned, our fund started in 2013, really with a focus on food retail. So really looking at healthy corner stores and more traditional food retail projects, such as your typical grocery store. Since then, we've evolved our, I would say, strategy and our focus to really looking at and appreciating the entire value chain of the food system. So not necessarily agriculture or on the production of food side, but certainly looking at supporting the aggregation and distribution portion of the food system. So you often will hear about food hubs, processing facilities, and then we have, of course, still the food retail component. We also have other ways or other businesses that support the supply chain of the food system that we might be able to support. Maybe it's helping finance a fleet of vehicles for a mobile market, or for the supply chain moment between the aggregation of fresh produce through distribution to stores and other vendors. So at this point, blanketly, I say, if it has to do with food, fresh food, healthy food, talk to VCC, give us a call. It might not be exactly up our, in our wheelhouse for exactly what the products are that we have to support you with, but we are able to certainly connect you to other peers and partners that we have and that we work with closely.
Okay, Lauren, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it seems like Walter's only seeing the VCC, the initial title slide still.
Okay, let's see here. Let me try. How's that?
Okay, I see food system development strategies. Is that right? Is that where we should be?
Yep.
Let's see what he said.
Yep.
Okay, he said good. We're good. Thank you, Lauren.
Sorry about that, Walter. Okay, so all of the nuts and bolts behind what our strategy is with the Fresh Food Loan Fund is on this slide. So I've already mentioned our mission and the resources that we have that we provide to communities. But also I want to mention that we do provide technical assistance to a state food access investment fund. It is called the Virginia Food Access Investment Fund. It's housed at the Department of Ag and Consumer Services. That fund was enacted by legislation back in 2020, and it provides catalytic grants to food retail businesses across the state. Right now, those catalytic grants are up to $50,000, but there can be anything from $0 to $50,000 awarded based on the project need and scope. So VCC works very closely with VDACS, the Department of Ag and Consumer Services, in administering that fund and providing the technical assistance to the awardees. You'll hear a little bit more about that in a moment. VCC also supports the facilitation of the Virginia Good Food Fund, which is very nascent in its structure and in its networking, but the vision for it is to connect food system funders, so other CDFI peers of ours, other philanthropic funders, the state agency and fund I just mentioned, VFAS, Food Access Investment Fund, is a component of that. We try to pair those funders with the service providers. So we're trying to link technical assistance needs with the funding opportunities. And that Good Food Fund is a chance for those two to intersect in terms of supporting the range of needs that businesses, organizations, and communities might have. And then generally, we do participate in legislative policy, I guess I should say information. We provide interests and stories that we hear from the communities that we work within, and we bubble that up to state and federal level interests with regard to food system policy. Myself and my colleague, Sarah Santa Cruz, who is on the call today, we both are co-leads of the Virginia Food Access Coalition, which is right now Virginia's only advocacy coalition for the majority of the food system work that we do here. So, and thinking a little bit more about how we implement this strategy that I just mentioned, there are building blocks that we use to achieve the impact in our communities. And so as you see, these arrows build upon each other. So the first arrow that you see is our very beginning of work that we might do with a business or a community. And the bottom series of arrows is kind of where we like to get a business or an organization to ensure the sustainability of all the work that we've collaborated on. So that first step is really looking at the pre-development phase of a project. So let's say there's a community that hasn't had a grocery store because it closed down. I know, for example, in Roanoke, the Save Lot there closed down in one of the communities closed down several years ago. So we might at VCC spend a year, certainly several months, if not more than a year, working with maybe a food access organization, maybe LEAP in Roanoke, maybe a developer or like a commercial real estate person of interest who could find tenants to fill that store. Then we might have to find the operator for the store, even if it is already being leased or purchased by someone else, because they might not have the experience as an operator. We often almost always work with the municipal leadership. So we might involve the Economic Development Authority to look at ways that the EDA might get involved financially. We will be talking to city or county administrators or other elected officials about what they're hearing from their constituents. So there's a whole host of support that goes into thinking about a project. And that is the expertise of VCC, is that we come as a neutral party, bringing and gathering all those voices together in the interest of a food access project that hasn't even started yet. So again, this is all in that pre-development stage. We 1000% recommend, as we are in that pre-development stage, that you or one is listening to the voices of community members. So not organizations that have programs that community members participate in, but actual residents living in the communities that will be most impacted by the project. And ideally, that voice, that experience and engagement with the residents is being compensated with stipends or some sort of salary to value their expertise. Just as if someone might come in with an MBA, he knows a lot about, projections and performas and might create some financials. So too is that resident with, or I should say, contributing significant value based on their lived experiences in a community. And that time and that knowledge and experience should be just as valued as maybe that MBA producing some sort of financial document. So then the next tier down is not just jumping straight into financing, because that's often very difficult for beginning businesses and generally most small businesses. So that's where the catalytic grants are necessary to jumpstart activity. And that's where that Food Access Investment Fund with the $50,000 grants that it offers is super important, or is a super important piece in this puzzle of scaling the resources that are available to businesses and organizations. So once an organization might get a grant, that helps to cover some of the capacity internally. It might cover some infrastructure or equipment needs. And then eventually, with enough of those grants, or even just one, that business or organization has much more of a likelihood that they would be eligible and prepared to then get into the conversations with the lender about financing. And so that second to last tier that mentions the creative capital stack. Capital stack is a fancy way of just saying there's a pie made up of a lot of different funding sources. And that's really what VCC's expertise is what does that pie of many different funding sources needs to look like for a community, for a project? What are philanthropic dollars that we can bring in from corporate partners or area foundations and other sources of income that could be invested in this project along with that particular business owner's own private capital? Almost always a project involves 3-4 different funding sources, and rarely does a project have the majority of the makeup come from financing. Almost always it has a majority leaning towards grants and other incentives that other sources are able to provide outside of that private owner of the business or leader of the organization. And then last but not, I would say last but is timeless, is the capacity and the trust and the relationship built, so that as a business, whether they're a borrower or not, it doesn't necessarily have to be that one has had a project financed by VCC or another lender, but essentially that business should, we hope, feel comfortable coming to VCC, coming to our technical assistance advisors with both challenges and obstacles, but also victories, so that we can continue to work with that business throughout their life cycle needs and provide the resources or connect them to the resources that are necessary as that business grows. They might not ever intend to grow big, but they want to be great and they want to serve their community. And we want to make sure that we're able to provide those resources necessary. And that's really a timeless investment of our interest in our work and our time, as well as those of partners around us to support that business or organization. It really does take a village. So here's an example of what this looks like in real time. It's one thing to talk about it in theory, it's another to actually understand how this works in the community. So this example is referencing Norfolk, and in particular the St. Paul's neighborhood there in Norfolk, Virginia, and Hampton Roads. So this example on the left shows various funding sources that have come together to support, on the right, the logos that you see represent organizations and businesses. And I think if it works, there we go. This is going to show you how those steps that I, in the previous slide, just detailed, how they actually play out in coordination with other businesses. So the funding sources make up a variety of different things. This number 2 is your VFAS, the Food Access Investment Fund Award. So 2 of these organizations, the CDC, St. Paul's CDC, and Youth Earn and Learn, both were awarded grants. That then led to a partnership in which they actually leveraged their grants together to create a food pharmacy, or sometimes known as Produce RX program, for seniors living in their residential centers nearby. That also then involved them working with a local market who actually got, through an agreement, some of this grant dollar amount to expand their space, so increase their inventory, and in particular, expand their cold storage, so their refrigerators, their freezers, so that they could actually increase inventory for healthy food. So, increase their produce, increase vegetables and fruit, dairy, frozen healthy meals, etc. So this Park Avenue Market actually was a part of these pre-development technical assistance and catalytic grants that were awarded that necessarily involved community residents being a part of all of the work and the fruition of the project. So Park Avenue Market had worked with these organizations that actually served as the hub for this food pharmacy program, their cold storage that they were able to expand. And they actually then ended up talking with VCC and getting some financing to further build out the store. I think that they actually were able to envision a grander or a larger scope of a expansion than they realized that they initially wanted because of all of these catalytic grant dollars. So they ended up working with VCC on a financing opportunity. And that is an example of the creative capital stack, because along with the financing and the grant dollars, I think it's 2 area health foundations had participated in some of this. There was a specific grant just to create the food pharmacy program. And I think another bank, for example, had some involvement in that capital stack. So I wanted to really illustrate, as I said, the steps that are involved. And I would just say this is probably over a 3-year period that this has all happened. So I want to also emphasize it is a marathon, not a sprint, but with time and patience and trust that's built, it does equal, the intention that we've all set out to create. And feel free, I'm just cruising right through this, so feel free to stop me if there are questions, Walter, if anyone else has joined us. So here's the photos from this example that I just mentioned in Norfolk. It's an urban food ecosystem model. It's actually called the Norfolk Food Ecosystem. So these are photos early in the pandemic of the St. Paul's Community Development Corporation delivering fresh food. Here is an actual view of the Park Avenue Market before the expansion. So it was more of a traditional convenience store, and they're actually not branding it, but overhauling the aesthetic along with the inventory to definitely show their commitment to providing healthier access to foods through their market to their shoppers. And then this is Youth Earn and Learn. They're an organization who hires area youth as part of an after-school enrichment program as a job to sell healthy food at various locations, maybe at senior living centers, at events, at other partner collaboration events. So these are paid staff who are youth who are also learning about healthy food choices. There's a whole nutrition education component. They're able to take that back and help spread that knowledge with their family. Some of the parents are involved as being hired to support this or volunteering. It's a really wonderful program. And like I said, since Youth Earn and Learn's involvement with the St. Paul's Community Development Corporation has yielded new opportunities, it's increasing all the more chances for even additional youth to join the work there and continue to serve their community. This is an example, actually, if you can see, you see the St. Paul's Community Development Corporation banner. There's a Bon Secours, I think it is, health clinic, mobile health clinic in the back there. And then the table is actually promoting this brand new food pharmacy program that these Youth Earn and Learn staff are manning. They're at the table. They're both providing education and selling some of that produce. And that photo is a great example in real time of that partnership that is created. So this is another example that VCC has been a part of supporting. This is a rural example now. So we're going from urban to rural. And this is a farm cooperative. So the idea is there is an opportunity for a whole host of family farms who were formerly tobacco farmers, now having converted their land to vegetable production. They've come together to create a cooperative and thus then need a facility for processing their produce to be able to have to accommodate such the volume that all the family farms are producing. So it's a significant opportunity for investment there in this particular area of the state. This is, I think, in South Central Virginia. It's a really big project cost. And of that, about $4 million, so more than probably 80% of the capital stack came from grants, including a $2 million investment from the local economic development authority. And then there's a variance that's left that still needs to be figured out, whether it's financed or it comes from other funding sources, and that's $1.5 million. And this is a great example of how VCC often gets involved in projects, as there might already be a lot of traction and effort building up to what the total project needs are in terms of funding. But then there's still a little bit extra gap there that isn't quite fulfilled. And so VCC can bring in all of the social capital that we have, all the relationships and networks with our philanthropic partners. Obviously, also we can bring to the table our financial products, and we really figure out with both the community and the business owner, or in this case, the business owners as a cooperative, what is the best case scenario for all parties involved. So we're not trying to hustle anybody to get our loan quotas met necessarily. We want to make sure that this is a project that is sustainable and that the options are feasible, and that those feasibility options can come from a variety of different sources depending on what the best case scenario is here. And that might change over time as well. So that's, again, a reference to how important it is that VCC, not how important, but how much we care about maintaining our relationships, because some of these needs might change, some of the funding sources might back out, and it would, it is helpful for us to be a part of the conversation where we have to go back to the drawing board if the slate is wiped clean with some of those funding sources changing up, and we are we welcome the opportunity to get creative with how we think about that capital stack. So there's an emphasis on what's the remainder needed. So I wanted to, the last slide is my information with my phone number and my email. But before I end, well, I can go ahead and just advance. Whoop. Where did I go here? I guess in this case, I'll just switch. I wanted to, before I give you my information slide, I wanted to turn it over to the website for the Food Access Investment Fund. This is on the VDAX website. I'm assuming that I've done my screen share correctly and everyone can see me. I'm on a new monitor, so I hope that it's coming through. But this should show you the website for the VFAS program. I want to emphasize this because, like I said, BCC supports this program through technical assistance. BCC supports this program for technical assistance.
Lauren, I'm sorry. I'm only seeing the flamingos.
Do you see it now?
There we go.
See it now?
Got it. Walter, can you see now too? Let's see what he says. Yep, he's good to go. Thanks,
Good to go? Okay. Thank you all for your patience as we mumble our way through this. Okay, so this website, or this program, like I mentioned, we support, but I wanted to highlight it because certainly there's the information here generally about the program, but most importantly, the next round is opening soon for awards. So November 1st through the middle of December is when the window opens for pre-proposals to be submitted. So this program requires first a pre-proposal, which is only about 2 pages, to be submitted. That is reviewed, and then only a smaller group from that pool are invited to actually apply for the grant program. And really, it's just making sure it's a good fit for the program guidelines, which are here listed on the website. So you can see here the upcoming dates of importance, but the primary are that from November 1st through December 16th, that is the pre-proposal window, and that there are a few informational webinars that we encourage anyone who's interested in attending. So I will be working with VDAX along with Sarah Santa Cruz. She also supports this and some of her work that she does with VCC. And we are right now able to provide technical assistance for applicants. We can also support any questions that are being asked. And then, of course, for all of the past awardees from rounds 1 last year and round 2 this year, we continue to provide technical assistance to those projects. So I'm gonna, let's see here, change my screen again. I'm really not savvy with this. I should be by this point. Here is my screen with my information, which I'm gonna also copy in the chat, Hello?
You're good. I was just going to let you know that you're good. Yes.
Okay.
We can see it.
Now I just have to find the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing altogether, and I'll just copy this in the chat for you, Walter. And that way I'm more familiar with my navigation. So that concludes the overview of high-level overview of the work that we do here with food system financing at VCC. I'm happy to answer specific questions you might have. I'm also happy to have an offline conversation if there's a project that you have in mind that you'd like to ask questions about. But I wanted to give you enough to, hopefully help you understand a little bit more about what we do, but not so much that I overwhelm you, because we can definitely get into the weeds.
Got it. Okay, looks like we have a question. Oh, the chat is disabled. Sorry, Walter. Let's see. Everyone. Let's see. Can you see the chat now? Everyone. There we go. Thank you for your patience. I am not a Zoom expert by any means as well. Let's see. Can you guys see?
I saw his comment
that it went to hosts and panelists.
I saw his comment that he screenshotted.
Okay. We have another attendee. So let's see. Let me see. Let me just do it this way. I can't get it copied and paste. Okay. Elizabeth, I'll make sure you get her contact information as well. I was trying to copy and paste it into the to everyone, but I'll make sure you get that. Lauren, that was really great information. I like learning about the food access program. It's really interesting program. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise with us this afternoon. Thanks to each of you for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedules to participate and learn more about the Virginia Fresh Food Loan Fund. We have a list of upcoming new knowledge sessions scheduled through the winter. You can visit events.vastartup.org to see those. Our next new knowledge session is on November 2nd. And that will focus on how to Airbnb. And that will be led by Janice Thayer. She is an owner-operator of several Airbnbs. And I hope that you guys will make plans to join us for that. I will also put that link in the chat for you guys. So today's session has been recorded, and it will also be available for you guys to view on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator Facebook page, on the Virginia Community Capital Facebook page, and on YouTube as well. If you go on YouTube and just search New Knowledge, there are over 170 workshop videos available on demand with lots of valuable information on all types of different topics. So I hope you guys can join us for our next session in November, and please share that with anyone that could benefit from that session. And thank you, Lauren. We really appreciate your time. And thank you to everybody else. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you guys for your patience today with our technical difficulties. Really do appreciate that.